So you're probably wondering, here we're at a synthetic biology conference, what could I possibly tell you about synthetic biology? And the answer is very little. However, what we are here to discuss really is the disruption and the possibility of creating successful products and companies in this space. And that's something which I know a little bit about. I'm currently the managing director of Karma. We have about 35 people, maybe 40 people in Ireland and the United States. We're a world-time leader in real-time carpooling. This is one of these technologies which is actually, as Bill Liao said in the question and answer period, the quote from Bill Gibson, "The future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed." It's already a technology that works, it works very well, and there are many thousands of people who are affected by that, who are using the technology every day. I use it myself to get to work rather than using a car, driving a car or a bus or anything. And yet it's not evenly distributed. Part of the reason why is because we could scale the technology, but it would, and we could be $1 billion company in the next year or two, but it would cost us about $2 billion a year to do that. So there's a issue of nailing it first before you scale it, which is what accelerators are all about, and what in fact a lot of early stage technology is all about. Actually building processes and building means by which it becomes effective to scale ideas. And we're still at and where the marketplace is not overly supported by underwriting the investment into new technologies. I am a manager of a venture capital firm, SOSventure. We have around 25 people worldwide in offices from San Francisco, actually probably 30 people worldwide, from San Francisco to New York to Shanghai to Shenzhen, and here at our headquarters in Cork. I founded a company called MapInfo Corporation that went public. I founded three other companies, some of which became acquired, some of which become bust. And I also was the founder of a humanitarian organization, Jumpstart International, which had about 3,500 people. MapInfo grew to about 200 million in sales before it was acquired, after it was public. So a few things I'd like to briefly touch on. And actually, I forgot to start my timer, and I'm going to limit this to 7 minutes, so you won't have to wait too long to get through all this. Just to talk about disruption, one of my favorite quotes is from Buckminster Fuller, and the quote is, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." So you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And when we think about all the technologies that we use today, the reality is that they are not evolutions; they are revolutions. And whether we're talking about, say something as simple as cell phones versus landlines, say something as revolutionary as the iPhone versus all the technology that came before it, completely changed the model of how we use computing, how we use communications, and made the old models completely obsolete. And that becomes, that becomes something which truly changes the world. So this is something that repeats time and time again, industry after industry, and we hope with the synthetic biology accelerator to be participating at the creation of this new revolution in biotech. So one of the key ways, of course, that any change is made in any society is by the companies, of course, that make the technology. So it's all about entrepreneurship. It's all about the startups. And when you say, oh yeah, but aren't the big companies the ones that are going to take it to everywhere and make these changes really happen? You can just see it over and over again how that hasn't been the case. It's been the startups that have made these incredible changes possible. you know, okay, sometimes the big companies buy those startups. You know, Android was a little startup before Google bought it. All the various, you know, the mapping technology companies were all bought by even bigger companies and made more popular. You know, even what was this WhatsApp? You know, Facebook surely could have done its own messaging app, but it didn't. It ended up buying a startup for $19 billion a few weeks ago because they could do it better. And so the innovation often comes from all of these startups. Almost always comes from startups that have this tremendously disruptive model. One of the reasons why startups succeed so well is because they have the amazing clarity of near-death experience. And so near-death experience is when you don't have enough funding to do everything you really want to do, and everything you could do, and you don't have enough time to do everything, and you're about to die. So you have this tremendous focused clarity, and that clarity is a wonderful thing. I think back to my own personal experience with near-death experiences. It's really the only experience worth having. I hope all of you have some near-death experiences, perhaps, as you leave the conference today. But you know, trauma is good for you. Trauma is the thing that you know, if it doesn't kill you, and most of the time it doesn't kill you, it does make you more alive. I'll just tell you. You know, hopefully I'll make this a brief story. I was flying a helicopter one day. I was not yet a licensed pilot, but I was in that period where I could still fly without being licensed by myself. And I was flying between Boston and where was it? What's that town? It's in Connecticut. Anyway, it's a big city in Connecticut. So. Or Rhode Island, I'm sorry, that was what it was, Providence. I was flying between Boston and Providence, and I got along the way, and everything was seemingly great. I was above some forest somewhere, and I looked down at the instrument panel, as you always are supposed to be scanning the instrument panel, and I suddenly noticed that my overspeed condition, the rotor speed was over 15% faster than it should have been. Actually, it's probably 25% faster. And anything where you go above 15% over your top rotor speed, basically it can fall off. And if the rotor falls off a helicopter, it's not a good outcome. So I quickly said, "Oh my God, Jesus Christ!" And so I tried to adjust it. I tried to manually tune down. I discovered I had made a newbie mistake and had forgot to put the autocorrelator on, which correlates the engine speed to the the correlator, which is how you alter the pitch of the rotor. Anyway, so you know, I tried to manually turn it down. I threw on the autocorrelator. It didn't work. I tried to manually turn it down, and I found myself quickly overturning it down. So actually, it's even worse to be going with the rotor when it goes below 75%. Then it does, you know, forget about it. So you also drop. So I heard that distinctive chop 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 of the you know of when the helicopter is chopping through the wind a little bit too slowly. So I said, "Oh shit." And, you know, I was about 1,200 feet or something, which is about the height of the Empire State Building. And from that height, if you drop like a stone, it actually takes you like 45 seconds to actually hit the ground. It takes a little while. It don't hit the ground instantaneously. So you have a little bit of time to react and to think about what your life could have been. And as I was headed, you know, so I threw myself into the emergency condition, which you're trained to do, which is called auto rotation, where you basically shut off the engine and you just plunge. But you try to, while you're plunging, try to gain enough forward momentum that theoretically, if you do, you know, when you do hit the ground, that you can take that forward momentum and create a sudden burst of vertical momentum by translating it from forward momentum into vertical momentum in the last possible second, and get through that. So, you know, of course, that's all nice theory. And so I there's my timer. Well, that's the end of our little story today. No, I'm going to finish it, actually. So I started heading over to the nearest spot that, well, actually the first spot that I saw that was sort of cleared land was, there were some high tension wires running through the forest, and I said, okay, I'm not going to go over there because I just didn't see that working out. And then I saw this shopping mall, so I started heading over there, hoping I could reach the shopping mall. And but then I said, Jesus, do I really want to be that guy? It crashes through the Macy's, kills 17 people, the fire, all that. So I said, no, I don't think so. So I saw a tiny little postage stamp in the like 2 tennis courts right next to the road, and I just sort of went down to that thing. And then I was thinking, because 45 seconds is actually an eternity when you're about to die. And I was thinking, before I turning to this flaming crater in the ground, is it really? I thought about my mom. I thought about, does she really want me to, she's worked so hard to get me through, all this stuff. How pointless. So I said I wasn't quite ready to die, and fortunately everything went perfect. I did executed the maneuver that I'd practiced 100 times but never actually had to do, and found myself trembling, 1.5 feet above the ground. Turned back the engine on just as it recovered, and was just hovering there, trembling. And so I thought, that was great. So what was really great about it, though, was what I did the next day, which is, after having that near-death experience, I determined that I wasn't going to do the same thing I was doing. That I needed absolutely to do the most important thing for my life and for my future. And so I actually quit the job that I was currently running, which was at the internet company that I was running, where we invented the term cloud computing. That's one of the things that I'm known for. And I quit that job, and I turned it over to somebody else to run that company. And I went and I did something else, which for me was the right thing to do and the right clarity that I needed. So I just leave you with that, because the clarity that you get when you're starting companies by actually focusing on the most important thing you could possibly do with your life. And the near-death experience is a wonderful, wonderful way to get that clarity. It's a life-changing event, and you could find yourself in the, so I really encourage you to look with that clarity. What should you be doing with your life? Is it to create something? Is it to provide new opportunities for the world? Are you underutilizing yourself? If you are, then consider applying for the SynBio accelerator and trying to change the world with very, very meaningful changes. So thanks very much for having me. That's really all I have to say today. Thanks.